What were some of the techniques that were used to create that sense of confusion in the
well, we use a lot of in-camera optics. So my particular lenses I used a set of Camtech Falcons, which are rehoused Canon FD lenses, which also they put their custom lens coating on. And then I used a set of Tacina Vistas that I had detuned. So, and they have this very specific, very rare lens. It's an Angenieux. It's an old surveillance lens. That's a 0.9 on the aperture. It's super shallow, like the most shallow lens humanly possible. And it's made for large formats. Because we shot on the Arri LF and the LF minis. But this lens gives a fall off that you won't really see in other lenses, because of the aperture. And then we use a lot of split diopters and diopters. And then we also used broken glass. And then we used the bottom I had the props department cut the bottom of a Martinelli's bottle.
No way.
Yeah, so that was used at times as well.
Well, what did that do? The bottle of the apple.
So I'm not sure if you remember the first episode when he looks through the keyhole.
Yes.
That's the bottle. That's the cap on. That's the bottle on the front of the lens, of a wide angle lens.
No way.
That gives that effect. Yeah, and it was just through experimentation, and we were like, "Oh, this is perfect. It looks exactly like a dirty keyhole," and so those are the things we thought about. But Ramin is really big on sort of rules, and also like language, so everything you saw, there were like a lot of wide and close things in the first episode that are handheld, that kind of run into him, and he looks this way, and it's like he's wide and close, and it's like a push in on the handheld. It really just like sort of sparks the viewer. It's like, oh, he heard something, and he's like, huh? And he looks over, and then you maybe see a flashback. But and then the aesthetic of it all, we forced ourselves not to have, like when you're on a stage, we have all this light coming through the window, right? We used a kind of combination between, sky panel 360s and S60s, soft with chimeras and stuff like that, and movers.
That is so crazy to me, the use of the broken glass, the bottom of bottles, things like that. Mm-hmm. I feel like, when people talk about in-camera effects, they usually don't mean actually putting broken glass in front of the lens.
There's one scene in episode 6 where it's after he shoots his foe, the guy that killed Reggie. But during the time he shot him, he was losing the effects of his medication that was clearing his mind. So during that confrontation, he was having an episode, so he was kind of going in and out of clarity and dementia. And so in that scene, as he chases him out the door, as the guy's bleeding out and he's chasing him out the door, he has this vision of like almost everyone we've seen from his past in the hallway. In that particular shot, that's literally a broken clear filter. Like we just shattered it.
No way.
Just shattered on the ground and retaped it, and not to bits, just like cracked the crap out of it, and then put that in front of the lens, and that's what all that and then a lot of haze in the hallway, with like the practical lights, all the tungsten practical lights in the hallway, and whatever lighting we put in there. Mostly the backlighting was hitting that cracked glass, and it was getting that really crazy, delusional POV, at that time. That's what that was.
What do you think that does to the story, to the viewer as they're watching it, by seeing and kind of experiencing an effect that, maybe you can't replicate in post as easily, and it just has like kind of a natural feel to it? Like what does that say to the viewer when they see that and they feel that?
I think it sort of just harkens back to sort of old school filmmaking, like Hitchcock and these guys that didn't have a lot of the VFX, digital VFX tools that we have today. They would use, miniatures, and they would use special effects, in camera. So, Hitchcock would put, if it was a burning building and he couldn't actually burn a building, he'd put a miniature building on a stick, and put a lens right in front of it and burn the miniature,
Yeah.
in the scene. So it looked like, really close. It looked like it was a burning building in the scene. So things like that, using like optical effects, miniatures, and all kind of things that people did in the early days of filmmaking was something that we wanted to sort of employ in this story. We didn't want there to be like ghosts, we didn't want like this visual effect of like something appearing in the screen that felt fake.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be, I think in many ways, when you're dealing with dementia and any kind of mental aberration, let's say, that connects to the mind, which is in direct connection to the vision, the way you see things, I think when you look at something with your eyes, that tool, that optical tool, the actual biological optical tool is connected to the mind, right? So that can be, along with like a physical stigmatism that can alter your vision, also a mental break, could also alter your vision. The second people take mushrooms or whatever, or psychotropic drugs, there something happened. They're like, I'm seeing things, I'm seeing colors, I'm seeing all kinds of things that I normally wouldn't take in my unaltered mind. So we wanted to sort of, think of the eye and the biological eye as an optical device, and so it's not, so the thing that's skewed is not a digital effect. It's an actual optical thing. So we wanted to sort of lean into that.